Back in 2011, I teamed up with solo bassist Zander Zon to produce this book, which is a transcription book for all of the pieces on Zander's debut album, Sonorous. This book has now been available for 10 years, and to mark the occasion, Zander and I have decided to put it on Amazon for the first time, so you can now go and get that from Amazon. And to further mark the occasion, I thought it'd be interesting to get together with Zander and have a chat and talk about his recollections of recording that debut album, Sonorous, and of course talk about all the things that he's been up to in the meantime. So I hope you enjoy this, my interview with Zander Zon. Okay, so to those of you who are watching on Facebook or YouTube or wherever this is going to end up, please welcome my guest for today, the one and only Zander Zon, certainly my favourite solo bassist.
Oh, stop it. Thank you. That's very kind of you. You're my favorite as well.
I haven't played solo bass for a long time.
I still remember your Simpsons arrangement, Shape of My Heart, Metallica. Still hold those dear to me. Those are really inspiring.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
Nothing else matters. That was a crazy arrangement. How did you play that solo? Tapping.
Oh, the guitar solo.
You played the guitar solo tapping. You were doing the bass line, and then your right hand was playing the solo part.
I don't know. I think it was just a case of kind of figuring out roughly what you could do with your right hand, and then trying to find some bass notes, with the other hand that would kind of fit in amongst it and generate a bit of rhythmic interest at the same time. But yeah, thanks. I'm supposed to be interviewing you. I'm really proud of those things though, and I haven't really played that kind of stuff for a long time, but I need to get back to it probably.
It's tough physically. It's tough physically to play solo bass. I've realized that as the years have gone on. It's you put your tendons, you put your hands through. You play it for so many years, and you do test your limits. But that's what's fun about it, is how far can you push yourself.
It's for me. It's really the case of you just need to maintain such a high level, like you say, of technical skill, and because for the last sort of 12, 13, 14 years, I've been really heavily involved in teaching. All of your time just gets sucked away into lesson planning and all of that kind of stuff, and I just found it really difficult to kind of do that stuff and maintain the insane chops that you kind of need to do all that stuff as well.
Yeah, you got to keep it going.
Yeah. Anyway, so look, one of the reasons that we're talking today is the Sonorous book, which we've recently made available on Amazon.
Yes.
So I thought it'd be interesting just to think back to Sonorous. It's been so many years since that album came out, and I wonder, how do you feel about that album when you listen back to it now?
Oh gosh, blast from the past. I think those tunes were the first solo bass tunes that I ever wrote, and really some of my first arrangements as well. And I've done so many arrangements since then. I've released another album since then, but I think there's something about your first compositions that sort of resonate with you more so perhaps than the ones after. At least that's how it is with me. I can still play all those songs fairly well, whilst some of the YouTube videos that I released maybe like 6 months, a year ago, I probably would struggle to remember to play, because I'm practicing those particular arrangements to perform it for one video, and then because I'm not playing a lot of live shows these days, they kind of just drift away. But those first compositions that I wrote, there's something I guess a little bit special, a little bit unique about them for me. So I look back very fondly when I think about that album.
Yeah, I think you should. To me, it's I don't sit around listening to bass albums much, despite what people might think. But Sonorous is one that I find that you can just always put on, and it kind of takes you away from the bass guitar a little bit. You kind of forget that you're listening to bass guitar, because it's quite, if you've listened to a lot of bass guitar, you don't automatically identify it with bass, because although the techniques sound familiar, it's just in different registers, and I don't know, it's just a nice album to have on, I think.
Yeah, I mean the focus is so much around melody as well. It's about what the bass can do as a melodic instrument, whilst still playing harmony and bass notes as well to create that fuller sound. But it's about trying to make the bass sing. Hopefully it did that.
I think it did, yeah. I mean, I'm just curious about the writing process of
Yeah.
I guess those compositions. I mean, did you decide on a tuning and think, right, okay, I'm going to see if I can do something with this tuning, or was it a case of having a melody and then finding a tuning to accommodate what you could do with the melody, or what?
Yeah. It was probably a little bit of everything. I mean, when I first heard Michael Mandering and started getting into altered tunings, it was just this whole world opened up. So sometimes there'd be some tuning adjustments within the arrangement process. I think mainly for those first ones, sometimes it started a little bit with the tuning. That was the catalyst for the creative thinking or the creative process. And I think Epic Love, I think maybe, I mean, I was started off in standard fourths, but obviously tuned a little bit higher up. Maybe I was BEAD or something like that.
Right.
But I think I took what would have been the A string and I tuned it up a whole step. Or it was something like that. I've forgotten the exact tuning, but it just created a different harmonic chord on some of those middle strings. And I think it may have created a fifth or something like that. And then that suddenly opens up like this melodic direction that you could go in, because you can reach these particular notes with harmonics, or you can play particular chords, or you could do a tapping sequence, and it's just easier to play. And that's the funny thing about altered tunings is I think for some who are uninitiated in altered tunings, the first thought of it is, oh, this is tricky, this is challenging, this is difficult. But actually what they do is they make music easier to play and make it more accessible, so you can keep that economy of motion, and not have to work too hard to get the notes that you want.
Well, speaking of working too hard, when you see those pieces performed, there are just so many unusual techniques in there, and I just wonder who was the biggest inspiration with regard to that element of your playing. And I guess I'm thinking of pieces like Circle of Melodies, with that really strange technique that you use.
Yeah, do you know what that was? I mean, it's it comes down to Michael and Victor, really.
Right.
As like so many people. But Michael Mandering, I first really got into solo bass when I heard Bass Day '98.
Yeah.
And I had it was a cassette tape back then. I walked
Yeah.
into a music shop, and I remember seeing the cassette tape, and I was really sort of naive in terms of the bass legends at that point, and I was like, oh, this looks interesting. And Mandering had 3 pieces on there. He had a rendition of Teen Town on fretless.
Yeah.
He had Sugar, and he had My 3 Moons. And also then Victor Wooten had Norwegian Wood and Amazing Grace. And so my mind was blown. But just the last chord that Michael Mandering did on Sugar, it was just the last chord. He had a chord shape, and he fretted another note with his index finger. And then I think he used his middle or his ring finger to strum all the 4 strings.
Ah, yeah.
And literally that was the inspiration for Circle of Melodies right there. Because throughout most of it, I'm fretting, or not most of it, but a good portion of it, I'm fretting with my right hand, but also strumming with my right hand as well,
Yeah.
just to create some interesting sounds. So literally 1 second of of Michael Mandering's performance led to that piece coming about.
That's incredible. I mean, I know that, like you say, that concert, the Bass Day '98, that was just such a landmark, I think, for so many people, because Victor's performance on there was incredible, but Michael's as well. Is that the one with Rocco on as well?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Just so much good stuff.
And it was just so interesting, that one, because you have such a dichotomy of approaches. And even amongst the solo basses, I feel like, Michael Mandering's approach is very different from Wooten's. But I mean, Victor's performance on that, like, he looks like he's not even trying.
Yeah,
no. When you go back and watch that, and he's just like, not even looking. I mean, those guys are in a different level.
It's just such raw talent with those guys, isn't it? That performance, Sugar, that you mentioned, the Michael Mandering thing, that's long been on my list of things to figure out and do a video about or something. It's such
you have to, yeah.
I know, it's great, isn't it? I don't think I've ever seen anyone cover it or do anything with it, although I've not looked for a while.
But you started doing this with your solo arrangements for Electric Bass Book, like really looking at the history of solo bass.
Yeah.
And having these sort of like these landmark albums or these landmark performances. And I think that's really great that you did that, and working towards solidifying solo bass as a thing, because I still think it's still evolving slowly. But those performances were certainly iconic.
They were, yeah, but it seems to have, like you say, it's a slow evolution, but it seems to have really picked up in the last few years. There's some astonishing players out there now doing things with solo bass. But going back to your album, I mean, I remember, us talking about maybe doing a book of the pieces, and I don't think I'd fully appreciated just how difficult it was going to be to write it down. I remember with all the different techniques and all the different tunings. And for each tuning, I had to make a map of each string and what harmonic occurred at what fret, and then what its position on the stave would be, and then to write it out was incredibly difficult. But I wonder how you felt when you first saw it written down. It must have been quite a strange experience.
Well, it was hugely flattering, to be honest. It was just amazing to see, to see years and years, because those pieces were, like by the time the album came out, like those pieces had been going around my mind for a few years. Well, some of them had been anyway. I think Accelerate was the first solo bass piece that I wrote, like in the early 2000s, to be honest, and then Epic Love was soon after that. So to finally have them like down on paper, and to hear other people play those tunes and play those melodies and get so much enjoyment out of it, and to have classical guitarist I know was giving it a go as well.
Oh wow.
So it was really cool.
That actually leads really nicely onto my next question, actually, which is that I wonder if you've ever seen anyone, any other bassists covering your pieces.
Yeah, I have on YouTube. Sometimes they'll send them through. Sometimes someone else will send it through, or sometimes I'll sort of stumble upon it. And it's the biggest flattery that you can have is, I think, someone playing it, and it's great for me to have my small little role in this evolution, this journey of the bass. I feel really proud. Looking back now, it's like, goodness me, I've been playing solo bass for almost 20 years now.
Yeah.
And I just always wanted to be, like Michael, Mandering, like Victor. Obviously no one can be like those guys, but I just wanted to contribute to the instrument and contribute to how people see the instrument. So it's amazing when you see people playing your stuff.
Yeah, well, I think your contribution has been quite significant with regard to the role of the solo bass thing. It's
Thank you.
I think you've done a lot. Just thinking about that, though, I mean, you did a second album, didn't you? Saturn Return.
Yeah.
But it's been a number of years since that one. I just wonder, do you still work on original compositions, and can we see another solo bass album from you in the future, possibly?
But I've released a few videos with Charles Berthoud over the past year. I think we've done 3 videos together. And though there's like the whole YouTube thing surrounding those videos, things, those are all original pieces as well that I wrote with him. So I am still doing originals, but the focus on an original album, it's in the back of my mind. It's in the back of my mind. I really enjoyed doing arrangements and creating solo bass versions of pieces that maybe solo bass versions haven't existed of before. And there's a lot of piano and guitar versions and vocal covers, so that's been cool. I think I do want to do maybe one or 2 more albums before my time is up.
Absolutely. Fun. Yeah. No, I enjoyed the stuff you did with Charles. He's another incredible player.
Yeah, I mean, he's such a great example of like opportunity meets preparation.
Yeah.
Because he had Davey 504, whom you may know of, who is a divisive figure in the bass world, but he did some video collabs with Charles, and so Charles got really big. But Charles has been an amazing bass player for years. He studied at Berklee College of Music. Jim Stinnett was his teacher, and he really just took tapping to another level.
Yeah.
And just honed it. I mean, he's good at everything, but what he does with tapping is really amazing, and it's great to see him being so successful on YouTube.
Yeah, completely. I mean, that whole thing came out of the Davey 504 thing, wasn't it? When he looked into finding bassists on Fiverr or something.
That's the one. That's the one. And Charles was on Fiverr, and he was doing sort of air gigs, and he was playing sort of like local gigs, I think, and doing a little bit of touring.
Yeah.
And I believe now he's a YouTuber. He's solely focused on YouTube, and it's amazing. He deserves it. He deserves it.
I'm jumping onto a much later question, but this leads us really nicely onto it.
Yes,
Charles is an example of this, but you as well, I feel. There are some bassists who've adapted really well to the kind of ever-changing world of music and the internet. With YouTube, and being a YouTuber is now an almost viable career option, really. But things like Patreon and all that kind of stuff as well. I just wonder, do you find it difficult to keep up with all of the different outlets?
Absolutely. I'm tired. It's changing all the time.
Yeah.
It's changing all the time, and I find the older I get, the more I just want to sort of stick to what I know. But then you can't do that.
No.
So I'm struggling with that, to be honest. It makes it difficult, and it's just the internet realm is getting more and more challenging. To sort of do well in. I think it's for everyone you see it, because there's just so many videos out there.
Yeah.
And there's so much quote unquote competition to get to get views or to get subscribers or things like that. Because I see absolutely amazing bass players on YouTube that, like, my eyes are wide and my jaw drops.
Yeah, for sure.
And they'll have like a couple hundred subscribers.
Yeah.
And it's just it is difficult to sort of keep up. And I think it's certainly different than it was when I first started on YouTube, which I think was 2008. It's a million times different than it was back then, but it's even different than it was like a year or two ago. Like the algorithm, the infamous YouTube algorithm is always changing. And I feel lucky that I sort of got in when I did, to be honest.
It does feel a bit like that, doesn't it? It does feel that if you put in the groundwork sort of 10-15 years ago, you were able to create some kind of a presence there. Whereas these days, as you say, the saturation is such that it's difficult to make an impression, because there's just there's lots of great stuff out there, but there's just so much of it now.
Yeah, absolutely. And if I was starting now, I'm not 100% sure I would take YouTube as my direct approach to sharing music. I might focus more on gigs, because it feels like less accessible for a brand new person to come in and establish like a presence that makes it viable. I think viability is key, because these videos take long, and you need to record, you need to edit, etc. And it needs to ultimately kind of be like worth your while. But you need to invest. You need to invest as well. You need to say, look, I'm going to release this number of videos, per month or per week or something like that, and I'm going to give it some time. But there's no guarantee you're going to get that return. But in order to sort of stand a chance at breaking through, I think that's what you need to do. So it's a bit of a tough gig these days.
Yeah, I think so, and that sort of goes back to what we were saying earlier about that need to maintain the high level of, musicality and chops, but also at the same time maintaining your understanding of what's going on in the internet world as well, which is, hugely difficult, as we've discussed.
I know, and the standard has risen so much.
Yeah.
As well, like you can't just kind of bedroom record off your off your $100 camera anymore. You kind of need that high quality. I think there was a time on YouTube when sort of like that amateur side of things was appealing, and now I think it's sort of drifting towards the quality. The quality needs to be there, so you have to put a lot into it.
Yeah, there's certainly more going on in terms of the entertainment value in a lot of the videos that you see now. Yeah, I guess I'm thinking of Charles again and Davey and all those kind of guys. I know people that watch those, particularly the Davey videos, and they're not even bass players. They just love watching them because of the entertainment value.
I know, and it used to be something like you could arrange a piece for bass and kind of like that might be enough, and now it's you know, you need other things attached to it as well. You need a storyline, or you need some other kind of hook, some other kind of entertainment, like you said. And you just need to give so much time to it, you know, and it's difficult if you're doing other things to make money, and then you're going to try to do YouTube on the side and think, you know, maybe I can kind of get my foot in the door that way. It's like you kind of need to put your eggs in one basket, I think, and not have a plan B, because the standard of entertainment is just so high. It's just so high at the moment. So the videos that I've done with Charles, like we did those scripts and we came up with those stories, and you know, you end up spending so much time editing and rewriting it, but that's not something that I could do every single video of mine. I don't have the time for it, really. The time to sort of just get that immersed in it. Yeah. They're fun though.
Such a daunting prospect for a musician, isn't it? You feel like you've got this fantastic a bass arrangement of something, but also I know. Need to go and write a script and think of an entertainment kind of angle as well. It's just such
I know. It really is. It really is challenging. I mean, I had this arrangement that I did of Country Roads, Take Me Home, Country Roads by John Denver, that I just released a few days ago, and I was thinking, should I try to come up with some other hook that goes along with it? And it just becomes like, oh gosh, it's hard enough just playing this tune. That's difficult enough.
Yeah, I mean, not to talk too much about what I've been doing, but I did a video recently of the
Star Wars.
The Star Wars thing.
Yeah, the mask.
Yeah, and I've wanted to do it for years, but the difficulty was getting hold of a mask, and I eventually found it on eBay, and but you know, recording the piece was just sort of one part of it. That was done quite quickly, because of course it had to be mimed, because you can't play with wearing a mask and bopping your head around. You know, but there was just so much had to go into that beyond actually recording the piece of music. You know, you had to do about 8 different takes with the mask on and put my fingers on the frets that I wanted to make sure I was playing, because you can't see, and then sort of do that bit, and then but so much work had to go into that. So it's a different world. But anyway, you recently hit the 100,000 subscribers thing on YouTube. Yeah, that must feel pretty cool.
Yes, yeah, that was cool. That was a really nice milestone. Yeah, I've been kind of working towards that. That was one of my goals, just because it's a nice big round number, and YouTube sends you the silver play button. So something to show for my efforts.
I just think for someone that plays solo bass, you know, music's like this, bass is like this, and then solo bass, and then to get 100,000 subscribers, that's just incredible. I think.
I remember something you said actually. You said, I think this sums it up well. It's a niche within a niche, or a niche within a niche, however you want to say that. That word. But it is such a small little pocket. So I'm really thankful to everyone that's subscribed and watched my videos and helped get to 100K.
You just mentioned the your recent piece, the Country Roads thing, which you played on Dingwall combustion.
Yes.
And just in watching some of your videos recently, I've seen that you've got quite a few instruments that I hadn't seen before. You got the Dingwall, and then you got the fretless 5-string on as well.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
So what's your collection of instruments like at the moment? Which ones do you typically use?
Well, my Zon VB4 is still my go-to.
Yeah.
You know, that's my baby right there. So I have the Zon VB4. I have the Zon VB5 as well, strung with piccolo strings, and I think I have a low A string on it too. I have a 16-string heart bass as well, which has
I need to ask
that's an interesting instrument. It takes about half an hour to tune.
I bet it. Where did that come?
That's well, I've seen harp guitar players, and I wanted to have something similar on the bass. So I found a luthier, who's absolutely incredible luthier, and he built me a harp bass that has so it has four string fretless bass, then it has 6 harp strings, which are just the open string, you can't fret, and then it has 5 super treble harp strings as well that get you like a really high sound. So it's that's a cool one. You have to find the right piece for that though.
Oh, well, I think you did. I mean, the one that I was watching the other day, and I absolutely loved it because I love the film, is the Interstellar themes that you did on
Yeah.
the instrument. That was that bass, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah, I did two Interstellar arrangements. I love that film so much. So that worked for that because actually the main melody or main riff was 5 notes, and I
Right.
had my 5 super treble strings. So it just fit perfectly because I knew what notes to tune those strings to. But
Got it.
that's Barton basses. So yeah, I hooked up with them and we got that instrument going, and that's been really fun. I wish I could play that more. It's just you have to be in the right mindset to get it out
Oh
and tune
God,
it and
yeah.
everything.
Quite,
So that's a good one.
quite a time commitment, isn't it, to kind of get that out of the case, spend half an hour tuning it, and then think, right, what am I going to do?
Yeah, I know. Really is. You kind of have to plan beforehand. Like this is a good piece for it. You start thinking about the tuning. I mean, I have pages of different tuning options with those 16 strings
Oh,
going
yeah.
around in circles. And then I recently hooked up with Dingwall,
Right.
and we have a project going. I'm really excited to work with them, and I'm going to be releasing some videos this year on the 5-string Dingwall, and that's tuned E to C, and it's actually my first 5-string fretted bass, and yeah, I really love that instrument. Amazing sounds, very fluid up and down the neck, very easy to play. The preamp works really well. You can get lots of different tones out of it. So I'm going to have some more videos with that instrument coming up as well.
And that seems like a relatively conventional tuning for you to use.
Yeah, I've kind of wanted to get into sort of standard tuning a little bit more, just as a sort of new kind of challenge. I'm so used to changing the tuning, but this standard tuning worked really well for this last arrangement, which I did for Take Me Home Country Roads. Because I wanted to do like the Travis picking thing. I'm not sure if you know about that technique on guitar.
I know I've heard the name. I can't think what it is.
It's just like when you're doing like the do 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 bass line and then playing the melody at the same time.
Okay.
So like the bass note and then like a fifth higher or something like that, or a fourth lower.
Yeah.
So I mean on the 5-string, I was in the key of G. And so I'm able to play G, D, G, D. That's one of the alternating bass lines. And then the other one is D, A, D, A. And then the third one is E, G, E, G. So you got like the right intervals there to get those. And those are all open strings. So 3 out of the 4 main chords on Country Roads, you're able to just play with the open strings in standard fourths tuning. So yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, I suppose being able to do that frees you up to, do other things.
That's the key, right? That's the key, is not having to fret the harmony notes and the bass notes, so that you can play melody notes or chords or harmonics with them.
It's been fantastic just to hear about all the different things that you've been doing and hear about all of your recollections of Sonorous or Sonorous. I'm never sure how to say it.
Yeah. I'm not. I'm whichever way you choose is the right way. That's fine.
So, just for anyone who's watching, the book that Zander and I did many years ago now, there it is. We now have it available on Amazon, so you can get it on Amazon very easily. And do you think that people are aware that the pieces on that album, they can be played on a conventional bass, can't they? You don't
Yes.
use strings or anything.
That's such an important one. And I remember we found the tunings where just with a normal 4-string bass, you'd be able to play. Yeah, absolutely, because it's all about the intervals between the strings to be able to create particular chords, particular harmonics. So it might be that you're in a lower key, but you're still able to play the same melody, the same harmony, the same rhythm, everything. It just sounds a little bit lower, and not too much lower, might I say, because most of the tunings on there, I'm kind of in between standard bass range and the first 4 strings of a guitar. So I'm kind of in like a tenor range.
Yeah.
Quite similar actually to Victor Wooten's Norwegian Wood performance when he's tuned A, D, G, C.
Yeah.
I'm kind of around there, usually around B, E, A, D, which is a whole step higher. But yeah, so it'll just sound a little bit lower basically.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. So I guess just a conventional bass with maybe slightly lighter strings, so you can accommodate the intervals between the strings, and you can just follow along and play through. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Have a blast.
Yeah, good. Right, Zander, thank you very much indeed for talking to us. Hope everyone enjoys watching this, and see you all soon.
Thanks, everyone. Take care. Bye.
Thanks for watching my interview with solo bassist Zander Zon. If you want to learn a little bit more about his Sonorous tab book, you can click on the link below. That'll take you to the Bassline publishing website where you can read all about it and buy it should you wish to have a copy. And of course, for the first time, you can also buy it on Amazon. Thanks again for watching. See you all soon.